Dearest gentle listeners, you are listening to the Ladies Bridgerton, the talk of the town. We are your effervescent hosts, your neighbourhood-friendly Kiwi touch from Middle-earth New Zealand.
Patty, Regency romance enthusiast, currently writing her Phoenix Rising era.
Settle down onto your favourite settee as we delve into the lives of the elite and illustrious ladies, lords, and royalty of the town. This Bridgerton podcast is two friends talking romance, Easter eggs, and Penelope, you cut me deep, deep into the connections.
Motherly guilt.
Portia's got some feelings this week. Into the connections of our favourite characters. We cover both book, TV, We cover both book, TV series, and notable social media, and therefore will contain spoilers.
Dearest gentle listeners, we saved Portia and Pen's interaction for its own pod. Portia is triggered and goes into survival mode, while Pen decides to be a cycle breaker. She has something Portia never had, a supportive husband. She knows Colin is working through his feelings, but he cares and wants what is best for her. Portia sees she is dethroned as main influencer in Penelope's life, and it strikes her hard. It is lovely to see Portia in rare Mother Bear mode, although I think most of her scheming advice is to protect her own standing.
Yes, I would agree with that. We are entirely lackluster on Pod Snacks today, aren't we?
Well, I'm still going to say what I had, and I might pick at what I can with my fingers. I forgot a utensil to eat my leftovers. I had dinner with a friend, and we went to a local place, and I got their burnt end mac and cheese, and I asked for extra burnt ends on it. So I have that still. And then when I got home thinking we were going to get on, I brought my dessert in here because I made it's called eclair cake. It's not a cake at all, though. I made that this week, and I brought me in a piece to have for Pod Snacks, but you were indisposed, so I ended up eating that already. But if anybody who doesn't know what eclair cake is, you make a box French vanilla pudding, you line a baking dish, glass dish with graham crackers, put in a layer of pudding, graham crackers, layer of pudding, graham crackers, and then you microwave a chocolate frosting and pour it on the top, and you put it in the fridge and let it set. Best if you let it set overnight. The graham crackers soften, and it kind of gives a tiramisu feel, but without the coffee or the alcohol.
But the coffee is the best bit.
Not if you don't like the taste of coffee.
Wow.
I'm not a huge soggy bread fan, but I really do like eclair cake. But depending on when I choose to nibble, y'all might see me eating on my leftover burnt ends. I have a little mac and cheese, but I'm not a ruffian. I'm not going to pick up mac and cheese with my fingers. But I will pick up some barbecued pork with my fingers, for sure.
I am still on the crisp apple Mizone sports waters to get my electrolytes in. My hyperemesis is starting to behave a little bit better, which is always nice. I can eat some things now. I just have to eat in toddler-sized portions. But at least it's some food going in, which is really helping my energy levels to be able to get out of bed again. I managed to take the kids to Willowbank, which is a wildlife reserve here, 2 days ago, which is a really nice change for me from doing 100 steps a day to actually being able to spend, 3 hours out in nature, seeing some capuchins and some capybaras and some otters.
Well, and I mean, for months up until when you found out you were pregnant, I mean, you were trying to get 10,000 steps a day. So to go from that to being bedridden
was 15,000 a day.
Yeah. I mean, that was a goal for you. You did not miss it, and then to be bedridden, that's got to be hard.
Yeah, it was a huge change for me to go from being out walking at least 2 hours a day to literally being in bed for nearly 11 weeks straight. It's been difficult, and it's just lying there and you can't even look at your phone because you're nauseous. Any movement at all makes you want to vomit, right. And the headaches that go with it, the dehydration, the dizziness, just everything. It was a really, really hard 11 weeks. So I'm glad to be through the worst of it, but my hyperemesis did last my entire pregnancy with Ezra, so I'm hoping it will just be a little bit kinder to me this time.
Well, the last time you didn't bring it up with your medical professionals, right?
Yeah, I was only on Densitron last time, whereas this time they've got me on 6 different rotating pills.
Yeah, and they gave you a timing schedule of how to take them for your best interest.
Yeah, and how to eat regularly to stay on top of it, because the blood sugar drops and spikes, and that's what causes the nausea and the stomach acids building up and all the things.
Right.
All the things. So I really should have pod snacks, but I don't. I might
But
get
it's
myself
pretty
an ice
close to
cream
your
halfway
breakfast
through.
still, so I mean,
I
she's
just had
been eating
breakfast, yeah.
avocado and pita every day.
You know what? My dad actually brought me a chicken cranberry brie panini this morning, but I just cut like a third at a time. I can only eat small portions, so I just do like a third.
Right. I was trying to put on my compression stocking, but that's not going to happen easily today.
No. Okay, what is the leftover tea, Vale? Hopefully it's caffeine free for me.
Bridgerton news that I did not bring up the other day because we knew we were recording late, so I was going to need some for today's recording. So, first of all, Luke Thompson did a short stint with White Rabbit, Red Rabbit, which is basically like, it's like a theater where people just pop in and they do like a week with them and do some scenes or a play. It's not like a long run of anything. But during his time there, Yiren came to visit him to see his performance. And I found out from that Bridgerton news that he had come to see her do the maids
That's so sweet.
in New York, which I can't believe that didn't get advertised. So it would have been cool to know, like, maybe we were there on the same day. Who knows? And we have had 3 that I know of, 3 Bridgerton alums who were asked to attend Wimbledon this year. Simone Ashley, Luke Thompson, and Yiren Ha all were asked, through, normally it's like, I know Luke was asked to come with a fashion house, Ralph Lauren or something. I don't remember which. Mm-hmm. And I know, like, Yiren Ha, somebody priced her outfit, and it was almost $9,000 for shirt, jacket, skirt, shoes, stockings, and bag.
I don't know what it is. Like, Wimbledon, it's meant to be like a sporting event, but it is really a fashion event.
Well, yeah, the fashion houses have, like, they pay for boxes, and they have people visit, and they wear their clothes, and because Wimbledon has always been a high-end event, and people dressed up for it, kind of like Ascot, the horse race.
It seems a little bit, with Melbourne Cup, we have it.
Yeah. So it's always been a high end, like you dress up for it or whatever. But I was like, if I'm ever famous like that, I'm going to tell my stylist, you can't dress me in anything head to toe, whole thing, kit and caboodle, cannot be over $500. I do not want to give this appearance if somebody likes me and emulates me that they think they have to dress like me. When Yiren didn't keep this outfit, they dressed her in it. But a lot of people don't understand that. They think these people just dress like this all the time. But I can tell you, I met Yiren Ha after her performance in Brooklyn, and that girl is a dress down girl. She had really nice trainers, like tennis shoes. I think they were like Adidas or something. But she was dressed very, very comfortably. Like, not super dressed up. And that's how I would want to dress all the time. So I would be like, no, I'm not wearing this $9,000 getup. Sorry. Now, if I went to the Emmys or the Oscars or something, I would wear a designer dress. But I think people know more for those kind of things, that you are dressed for that. Somebody dresses you. It's advertisement for the clothes. But I don't think, especially in America, I don't think a lot of Americans know that that is what Wimbledon is. You get invited to model somebody's clothes for the day.
And then sorry, you go.
Well, go ahead. If you have a Bridgerton news, I just still have a couple more.
It's not Bridgerton news. It's just world news. R.I.P.
World news.
Sam Neill.
Sam Neill, I know.
Our famous Kiwi actor. He passed away. For those who don't know who he is, Jurassic Park, the original. He was, I don't remember his character's name. You will. The guy.
Dr. something or other.
Dr. something or other. I don't remember his name. He was also
It's been Odin forever since I watched it.
Odin, Thor's dad in a bunch of the Thor movies. He's in a bunch of Kiwi movies, Hunt for the Wilder People. You probably have a better memory of his filmology.
He's just been in so many things. He's awesome.
Everything. Hundreds.
Just go check him out on IMDb, and you'll see everything that he's been in. I'm actually trying to scroll because another, probably not as famous actor, but another actor recently, he took his own life, which sucks.
Acting,
and I know the
like
one
very
show,
lonely career to be in, a very lonely and high stress.
The one show he was in, why? I'm gonna try.
And it also comes with, I think, a lot of rejection, which is quite hard to navigate.
Yeah, Josh Grizzetti, and I'm gonna go. Well, there's one show I just searched it and got his name, so now I'm going to go to IMDb. Joe. He was in Marvelous Miss Maisel. What else? He did some episodes of The Good Fight, Nurse Jackie. Like, it seems like he's been episodic mostly, like hired for an episode.
Yeah.
But he had he was an actual character on Marvelous Miss Maisel, like a somewhat recurring character. So I mean, my thoughts and prayers go to both families, especially his, because that's hard on a family. And now, I mean, the reason I bring these things up for Bridgerton news, I think Sam Neill would have made an excellent addition to Bridgerton.
That's what I was going to say as well.
Yeah, even as old as he is, he could have been an American papa who's bringing his daughter, because he's rich AF, to find a titled person in England.
I would have said he would have made a fantastic match for the Lady Featherington. He's got quite a cheeky attitude, and I think that
kinda, and she already has a thing. She kind of likes American crassness in Jack. So
I think he likes a bit of banter.
I could see him coming, being super rich, having a daughter that he knows he can infuse money into a family where the family gains a title and standing, kind of like, who was the railroad baron? I know they have a character in the Gilded Age who represents this family, and they married their daughter off to an English earl or something for that purpose, to get a title, like to gain standing in New York society, because they were new money, they were nouveau riche. To gain standing in New York society, they went to England, got her a husband from England, and got a title to their name, so they were more accepted in society. I could see Sam Neill being that guy, and that would have been great. Right. But now we don't get to have that in our dreams anymore.
What other Bridgerton news was there?
Miss Michelle Mao, who was Rosamund in season 4, has reported that she has joined the cast of The Last of Us.
Ooh,
which is a series.
Cast list.
Yeah, so she has work. So if you want to support Little Miss Mao in her new endeavor, she's going to be on The Last of Us in the next season. And this is just a cheeky little one. I saw that Shondaland had posted 20 stars who can really, really, really sing from Shondaland shows. They included, which they normally snub Luke Newton, but they included Luke Newton, Johnny Bailey, and
Simone
Ashley. I wrote her initials backwards, so my brain was glitching. I was like, that's not right. But Simone Ashley. But we already know that Luke Thompson also sings. Claudia Jessie also sings. There's a lot of people in Bridgerton who sing. So, but for the top 20, they named those 3 specifically. So I just wanted to shout out. We know you guys sing. We love it. Got to see some regular singing on the show.
That stupid Christmas special that we're asking for, where they're singing carols. Like they turn up in
like Little Women style around the piano, like French, Francesca playing something and them singing it would be awesome. I would love it so much. I just would
love it so much. Very much like the Colin episode where Penelope walks in, but it's the whole family singing.
Right. And I'm going to say this is not really Bridgerton news, but I was waiting for you to sign in and I was looking at TikTok and Ainsley Broom came up, which we've had her on here. We love her. And she was talking about Emily Henry, who is getting a lot of press these days because her books are being adapted into movies.
Yes.
And apparently Emily Henry recently said that there's like a surge in romance again.
Mm-hmm.
But big actors turn their nose up at romance. They don't want to do it. They see it as too easy or it's not going to further their career. And from her experience in the casting process for her adaptations, I'm assuming she just sees there's people that they want to use that person won't take the role or don't even want to put their hat in the ring. And she said in her opinion, this is not a good decision. They would get such a following if they did romance. And Ainsley mentioned some people that I know they had considered. She had a short list of people she would like to play a specific character, and they did not audition or whatever, or they did not want to be considered for the role. One of them was Pascal. Mezcal, whatever last name actor. So I'm just going to say this because Bridgerton is romance and it is a television show, and I understand that actors can be typecast, and most actors don't want to be typecast. They want to expand their skill set. But please, I'm begging you, follow in Regé-Jean Page's footsteps. He finally did another romantic thing. He did another romance, and was awesome. And I'm not sure if it made money or not. I didn't look into it that deep, but I greatly enjoyed it. And so, I mean, I don't think Johnny Bailey would see doing romance as not enhancing his skills or beneath him or anything, but please, Johnny, Luke, Reggae, keep doing it, and the rest of you actors who are the fringe characters, Imhangbe, Victor, do romance, please. There is a renaissance of romance right now, of rom-coms, and the world is so overwhelming, overstimulating.
We just need our
There's
little
so
happy
much.
place, please.
We need a happy place. We need more romance in our lives. We only get Bridgerton once every 2 years, once every year and a half, whatever. Like, please do a romance film. Let me go to the theater and see you in a rom-com. I want it so bad. Any one of you. I will support all of you if you go. I will take a crowd. I will take all my friends if you do rom-coms. Any of you, please.
We will rent the theater.
Yeah, and I want to see Luke Newton and Nicola Coughlan become like the Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan of this generation. Like, your chemistry is so good. Do so much rom-coms, please. Please, the both of you.
That's why I love the voicemails to Isabel. You're not Tom Hanks!
Right, like that whole thing about you. This is like the modern version of You've Got Mail, which was one of my mother's favorite movies. It's one of my favorite movies. Like, they did so much together. They did Joe versus the Volcano. They did Sleepless in Seattle, and then even back further than that, like, every generation has that couple that they're not together in real life, but they have such good chemistry. They just keep putting them in movies together.
It's been how many years now? And I mean, she's well past his dating age of 25, but like, everyone will always ship Rose and Jack together.
And they're still really good friends, actually.
You see what I did there? Ship?
They support each other. But yes, I want to see Luke Newton and Nicola Coughlan do a rom-com, please. Think it will make $1.5 billion. All of your fan base would go.
Yes. I don't think either of them would ever do it because they don't, not typecast, but like, I don't see Nicola wanting to go that way in her career. But
no, Nicola likes to do a lot of different things. She likes to get nitty gritty. She has such great talent, but she also is a humanitarian, and I'm not asking you to do this to further your career.
Do it for our hearts, please.
Do it for us.
Of the world.
Do it for our souls and our hearts. We just need a lighthearted rom-com from two people who play falling in love perfectly. That's all I want in the world.
Yes, it'll heal us from this angsty era, which, by the way, I do believe it is time to make haste into. We're skirting around.
We're trying to avoid haste. We're trying to avoid angst.
Never mind dealing with the Penelope and Portia angst, because I feel like a lot of it has come up, and this not fight, but hurt has been a long time coming, and it needed to be unveiled. So I want to jump in back from. We already kind of covered this part, but I do think it's important to start from the start. Lady Featherington, Penelope and I were just discussing whether or not I am to be believed. Let us find out. Think of your daughter's love of written word. Think of how she is so easily overlooked, allowing her to disappear for great periods of time, and you could tell on Portia's face. The second that she started about the written word, she was pensive. She was thinking, like, what is this about? And then so easily overlooked. And of course, with having just had the whole wedding blown up by the Queen, she came to the conclusion fast. Portia is not stupid, allowing her to disappear for great periods of time, and think of how all those she views as enemies end up humiliated in print. And then ask yourself how it took you this long to realize she is the true Lady Whistledown. You will pay me my sum, or I will reveal the truth to the entire ton. Do enjoy your morning, ladies. Penelope!
Well, I definitely want to unpack that, because I think I think there's one line in there that Cressida used specifically to trigger Portia because
Enemies.
she was, yes, who she
Yeah.
views as enemies get humiliated in print. Because Cressida felt humiliated when she talked about her dress, which we know, I mean, Cressida believes, I'm going to say it this way, Cressida believes she is Penelope's enemy. I don't think Penelope sees Cressida as her enemy. She sees her
She
as
sees
her
her as a
bully.
bully. It's different. It's not
So,
mutual.
right. Cressida, for her to feel like Penelope is her enemy, or that she is Penelope's enemy, there has to be a competition there. So we now know that Penelope or Cressida has felt in competition with Penelope this whole time. Which that's huge because Penelope would have never thought she was anyone's competition. So, but I think that Cressida said this to trigger Portia because
Yeah.
Penelope did talk about her family, partly to not be revealed as Whistledown. Nobody would assume it's anyone in the Featherington household because the Featheringtons get talked about, but also because she started using Whistledown as her journal, like when she got really angry and she didn't think about how this would play out publicly in the world. Kind of like a teenager on social media now. You know what I mean? Like they get mad and they just blast their parents for everyone to see.
I'm just kind of thinking about it. Something that you just said just triggered something. Penelope almost inadvertently set up the Bridgertons to take the fall for her. It was not a conscious choice to do this, but the
Right.
fact that she wrote poorly about the Featheringtons, but never wrote poorly or very, very infrequently, shall I say, wrote poorly about the Bridgertons. And when she did write about the Bridgertons, it was mostly like Colin being smited by Marina. That wasn't his fault. Daphne's courtship between the prince and the duke. Again,
Right.
there was nothing. It was just kind of that she wasn't she like kind of insinuating that she maybe wasn't the most sparkly diamond of the season at some point
Yes, because
when no
she
one
had
was
met
coming to follow
Marina,
her.
and when I've rewatched season 1, we know that Penelope is lonely. She's isolated in her own home. Everyone is her bully in her home. Her two older sisters hang out. They don't include her a lot of the time. When she is in a room with them, they're picking on her. So she didn't have a friend in her home. She didn't have a
Yeah,
sister that she
an
was
ally.
close to. And when Marina came in, she was just enamored by Marina because Marina paid her attention. And so I don't think she was saying things about Daphne because Daphne was her enemy. I think she felt proud of how Marina was accepted in the ton prior to finding out she was set her cap to Colin.
And I think
So I think she was
keeping in
talking
mind,
up her friend rather than
yes,
putting down Daphne.
and keep in mind that Portia and Lady Araminta are basically mirrors of each other. And if Araminta is teaching her daughter, everyone is competition, everyone's out to get you, it's all for one or one for all. And then Penelope is like, oh, well, now I have this one friend and I want to protect her. And the only way that I've been taught how to do that is to kind of there only can be one diamond, so I'm going to choose my diamond and go against the queen in her diamond choice, which obviously started the whole war with the queen in the first place,
Well,
really. But
and that's a good point. I don't necessarily think she was trying to go against the queen either. I think everything that happened to Penelope through Whistledown was inadvertent because she was
yes,
so young. Marina was not at debut day. So I think
yes,
Penelope thought she was evening the playing field by giving her press, giving her, like, Penelope tried to be her social media manager, right? Her PR,
yes,
because she didn't get the same beginning as everyone else. And Penelope had already written herself off. Their debut, her and her sister's debut to the Queen, was so cataclysmic
unforgettable.
that they were probably not going to find matches. So she focused on Marina because if, just like I think Colin's thought process, if Marina married well, that helped the other family members, that helped that household. So I think Penelope thought she was helping her family by talking up Marina, but
Yes.
then it all blew up in her face when they found out about Marina's condition and she was going to trick Colin. And then Penelope had to choose between Colin or her own family.
Protecting her family or protecting Colin. Yeah, but what I was, yeah, the whole point was that completely unbeknownst to her, because I do not think it was a conscious choice at all. She really did
Mm-mm.
set up Eloise specifically to take the fall.
Yeah, and again, like I think much like her mother, think about the line her mother says later in this episode where she felt like there was only one way of doing things. Maybe there were other avenues at the time, she just couldn't see them.
Yeah.
And I think that because Penelope is so young, that she takes an avenue that seems like the right choice. Like she sees multiple avenues, but she takes one that she thinks is the right choice, not think like she's learning over time that there's collateral damage, right? To every choice we make. It benefits some people, it doesn't benefit others, but we have to make the choice that's truest to ourselves. And I think ultimately Penelope just wanted to help people. She didn't want to hurt people. She got more hurtful when she was writing for the masses and she was writing for her audience and writing for her readership. But when she was writing for herself, she was trying to help people. So most of the fallout is inadvertent. It's not something she thought could happen in that moment. So yeah, she almost set up the Bridgertons, especially Eloise, almost got Eloise's head chopped off, if we want to be real here, because the queen did threaten her life. But I think that Cressida used these words specifically because she knew Portia is selfish, and Portia would be thinking of her own self and what was said about the Featheringtons, because Portia puts blame on everyone else and doesn't take accountability. Marina's situation, she didn't do anything there. She was the victim. Marina's at fault. The whole thing with Jack, even though she went along with the fraud, in the end, she's publicly telling everybody he ruined them.
She had to protect her children in her eyes.
Yeah, but nobody else hears about, even if she has a why behind it, nobody hears her fault in things. And I think Cressida is observant enough to know this about her, or has heard her mother talk about it, right? So she immediately says something that's going to trigger Portia in a negative way towards Penelope. Not her love of the written word could be positive. Somebody who loves the written word that much would be a good writer.
Well, I mean,
right?
To be honest, how in the hell would Cressida know about Penelope's love of the written word? Just because she's a reader and it's known that she's a reader doesn't mean she's a writer.
Right. And she never thought Eloise, Cressida never thought Eloise was Whistledown, and Eloise flat out told her, I feel like I'm the only person in this room that's read an entire book, and Penelope was in the room. So why did Cressida never think it was Eloise?
Like, I mean, I consider myself a reader. I can't write like you or Sarah. Like, you guys just have a way with words. Like, I know the intention of what I want to get out, but it doesn't flow in the way that I want it to.
Yeah, and for me, it comes in spurts. Like, I have to truly be inspired. Like, I love that Sarah can sit down, research something, and plug away at it, and is able to produce something consistently. Yeah, like, she's consistent with it. Like, she's developing and honing a skill. But for me, I have to be like a hyper focus on it. I'll be inspired and I have to get the words out of me. But then if you told me, hey, I want you to write a story about Colin and Pen about this, that's why our story we were writing in the group ended. It ended with me.
For context, people, Sarah is one of our listeners and friends, and she writes on AO3 and does Bridgerton fan fiction, but is also now expanding out to other things if you want to check that out.
Yep, and I promise Sarah in fact, I'll do it tonight. I have to post to Patreon. She actually did up a thing of her process, how she writes, and
I love that.
I'm posting that to Patreon for our Patreonesses. If you want to follow along with Sarah's writing process, you can join us over at Patreon, and that link is, I believe you have it in our description on Spotify. It's in our on our YouTube page. It's also in our Facebook group under the pinned posts. So if you can join us over on Patreon, you'll be able to follow Sarah's writing process. She gave me a whole graphic on that.
Let's move on to the next portion, which is Penelope. Tell me it is not true. I think at this point she very, very much knows it is fact. There's no doubt in her mind that it's fact, but she just wants, when you know something.
She wants that moment of,
I just need, and this is an awful comparison, but when a wife knows her husband's cheating, but she just wants him to, just some sort of deniability. Maybe there was a mistake. Maybe it's not true. Maybe I got mixed up somehow. There's just that and I mean, Don't get me wrong. I do think that Portia deserves what's coming her way. But when you know that there is a certain level of hurt coming your way and your brain will do anything to avoid that hurt, even if it means lying to yourself, I
Mhm.
feel like she's in that kind of denial stage where she's like, please tell me it's not true. But can I just say that I think if Penelope had never written poorly about the Featheringtons, this whole scenario would be going down completely different, and Portia would be looking at what she can get out of the situation.
Yes,
It is
because Portia
only
is
because she
selfish.
was personally victimized, and I'm using the quotation marks because this is from her
Loose,
point of
yeah,
view.
that word
Only
loosely.
because
That's
she was personally victimized that she takes issue with her daughter being Lady Whistledown. If she had only ever written vague or complimentary things about the Featheringtons, she would not have a problem with this one little bit, because she's like, oh, my little daughter is a schemer just like me. But because her little daughter's scheming was negative to her, now it's bad.
well, and a couple things on my end. I don't necessarily
Yes.
think she is upset that Penelope's Whistledown. I think that
No, I
she
think she just
is
hates it badly about her.
I think that the bottom is dropping out and she's got to go back to protective mode for the whole family and finding she really does believe her and Penelope were working against each other because she cannot hold herself accountable to her own decisions that got them in the scrapes they were in. Penelope actually saved the family quite a bit using Whistledown
Yes.
because Portia was,
Well,
walking
the
around with lit
fallout for the
candles on a wooden
Featheringtons and the
ship.
Bridgertons, had Marina gone through with her marriage with Colin, there is not a family in the ton who would have believed that that was Colin's child, because of how far along. We already said she would have been at least 4 months along. She was far too far along for anyone to believe a 5-month-old baby is going to be Colin's, which means that the entire Bridgerton family, like the second that you have someone who's an illegitimate child in a family, it brings illegitimacy claims upon the whole family, as Cressida tried to do with the Bridgertons in her little, I don't want to call it an article, it was so poorly written, but
Well,
those
and
kind
that
of,
was
like,
Araminta's writing
yes,
anyway. It wasn't Cressida.
but you know what I mean, like it, I think it hit a little bit harder than would have because of the Marina stuff in season 1.
Ooh, and speaking of that, I also think that line she said was not only to trigger Portia, but I also think that's a little bit of projection because she knows that's exactly what her mother did. And her mother was a little bit more insidious and a little bit more nefarious than Penelope ever wrote about anyone, right? Penelope
Yes.
wrote the truth. Her mother wrote lies. So I think she used inflammatory word usage on purpose to equate Penelope to what her mother did to the Bridgertons because she
Well,
feels so guilty about throwing the Bridgertons under the bus. She's trying to make that Penelope's fault. My mom wouldn't have
I
had to write this if you weren't Whistledown and this wasn't a thing.
I personally think that a lot of people probably don't think that absolutely 100% of what Penelope writes as fact. They probably think that there's some fiction sprinkled in there.
Most everybody through seasons 1 and 2 especially say the reason she came out on top of other scandal writers is because she wrote the truth and used names. So people do see that she does write truthfully. That's what makes it so scary to find your name in print. Is she saying something truthful that's good, or she's saying something truthful? And that's why Miss Berrigan, when she saw her own name, even though Penelope couldn't say something truly positive about her because she was kind of nondescript, right? She said something about her that was neutral, but she was so excited to see her name in print and it wasn't scandal that she got so excited because Lady Whistledown speaks the truth. But I think that Cressida is so upset at this point that she's lost her friendship with Eloise because her mother threw the Bridgertons under the bus, that she's trying to inadvertently make it Penelope's fault so she can absolve herself in this whole moment because she's really at her lowest of the low. And she's trying to see, she's got to look at what got her there, not just her parents, although I think her parents treated her poorly, but she made decisions that got her there as well. And I think that in this moment, like you said, Portia's asking her, is it true? Please tell me it's not true. Because right now it's Schrodinger's Whistledown, right? Like she could be, she might not be, because we already know Cressida lies. Because Cressida took responsibility for that bad Whistledown, and that was nothing but lies. So Portia has this moment of hope, like, technically she's a liar. Technically this could be untrue. And I think Portia has known all of these years that Cressida is a bully of hers, just has never done anything about it because she wanted the friendship and acquaintance of the Cowpers. So I think she was just trying to have this moment. She knew it was true, but she was trying to have this moment. She was going to give Penelope the ability. If Penelope denied it, she would have willfully believed her because that made it easier to believe her.
Yeah.
But Penelope's done lying. She's with a person who does not lie. She doesn't want to do that anymore.
And you know what? I will give Portia this. I think that Penelope had an easier time coming out to her mother than anyone else because I think she does see that side of herself, Lady Whistledown, as being born straight from her mother, and knows that as much as her mother will be concerned about the condemnation of the Ton and the Queen's wrath, that her mother is also a schemer and will do anything to get her out of the situation. She will be maybe mad for a little bit, but I think she also kind of wants to have this out on the table with her mum of like, this is the kind of household that you've raised us in, and this is how we've internalized and now externalized our feelings because of it.
And I also think, which surprises me, that Portia doesn't automatically think about the money because obviously Whistledown has made a ton of money.
She's made bank.
But I think that Penelope's already thought about that because she knows her mother got an inheritance, but she knows her mother's irresponsible with money. And I think that coming out to her mother is easy because in the end, she will be helping the family. If they do get ostracized and they have to go live in the country, they can live off her money for quite a few years, for a long, long time, if it's managed well.
At least until she pushes her mum into a well.
So yeah, I think it was easy for her to tell the truth at this point. One, because she knew she was going to tell Colin anyway. But two, she wants to try something different because Portia's protection, trying to get out of survival mode, Portia becomes singularly focused on clawing their way out of some pit that it doesn't always work out well. And Penelope knows that. And she just is ready to try. The Bridgertons always seem to come out unscathed, and she wants to try it their way for once, I think. Yeah. Like now that she's witnessed that.
For once, Cressida does not lie. For once. Yes, very true. At every ball, always there was an hour at which you disappeared. I thought it was because your social manners ran dry at a point. I
love that line.
I love that line, your social manners ran dry, because it's something that it was a really fun play on words of, your social battery ran out, but they made it old-timey sounding.
Well, yes, but I also love that she acknowledges that Penelope is introverted. That line right there, as it's properly worded, it's like the perfect line. Writing, like script writing, it's such a good line. But it also tells us how much Portia actually has seen her daughter all of these years.
Yes. And instead of acknowledging her daughter, she's just like, oh, Penelope's Penelope, I'll let her do her thing. But now I realize what a fool I've been. Yes, Portia, thankfully, you were coming to that conclusion. We got there a while ago. Mama, all the terrible things you have written about your sisters. I am proud of her that she started with sisters and how it
ended with and yourself.
Yes, about me, about yourself. I think it was one of those realizations where she's like now backtracking, thinking about the articles and thinking about why would you write badly about yourself? Like, why would you do that to yourself? I think that was kind of the final realization.
Can you imagine how she felt? I mean, and I really do think she feels bad in this moment. She really is putting Penelope first here. I think that this is truly, you see her feelings as a mother. Because you see that she really has seen her daughter for who she is all of these years. Although, I just thought your social battery ran out is also you were the kid I never had to worry about kind of conversation like my mom had with me. But the fact that she puts her other two daughters first in that sentence, and we talk about the order of operations later when we get to the Bridgerton drawing room scene, because the way Colin speaks, I think, is very important, especially to how Portia now views Colin and how he views Penelope. But this is very similar to her. She puts her other two daughters first in the sentence, and she puts Penelope last in the sentence, and she's sandwiched in the middle. Like, she really, I don't care what you say about me. I can handle it. I can survive it. I'm a survivor. But you talked about your sisters, and you talked about yourself. And I think in that moment when she said, and even yourself, she remembers berating her daughter
Yeah.
for bringing scandal to the family and how she was berating her only to realize her daughter had written those things. What was written, all those terrible things that were written, she said about herself.
Yes, and I think this is also kind of a moment of realization of how self-sacrificing that she has been with Colin for all those years, that she always thought it was just infatuation of the neighbor boy, but actually how much her daughter has sacrificed already for the man that she loves, that she was willing to sacrifice herself and her family. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think if Penelope was just writing to be cruel to her family, Portia would take it worse than this. But because she's realizing that she had written those things to protect the Bridgertons, I mean, it hurts in one way, but it also probably makes the wedding make a little bit more sense because it did come out of nowhere, and
And
it
who
came
her
out of
best friend
nowhere.
has been
And
all these years.
yes, okay, to her knowledge, this proposal came out of nowhere. And
Right.
then before they even got married, Colin was mad at her, and like, why would he propose to her all of a sudden if she hadn't entrapped him like she insinuated? If he's now
Mm-hmm.
mad at her, and then the Lady Whistledown stuff makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, for character development for Portia, the writing in this scene and how it's directed, how quickly the she speaks, you
Mhm.
actually get to see how clever Portia actually is because her brain
Yes,
is mapping all of this in the
jumping.
moment,
Yeah.
is coming to the and processing this so quickly. Because remember, Colin is still not so much mad, but worried, not sure the avenue to take necessarily. Like
Well,
he's taking forever to process. Portia does it in two
I
shakes of a
mean, and I
lamb's
think
tail. Like she processes so quickly.
And I think that's because Colin has led a very privileged life. As they say, he's grown up with a silver spoon in his mouth, where aside from losing, sorry, reflux.
And he's a good writer. Being a good writer
Aside,
doesn't necessarily mean you are highly clever or highly intelligent. Do I think that Colin is dumb? No. Do I
no,
like that he gets played as dumb? No. But
he
is
just takes
he
longer to
as
process his
smart
feelings.
as Penelope or Eloise? No. And Portia is proving right here that Penelope gets her cleverness from her mother.
Well, what I was kind of getting at is Colin has grown up with a silver spoon in his mouth, where he, apart from losing his father, has not faced a lot of adversity in his life. He's always had the luxury of time to process his feelings in a timely manner. Portia has always been in fight or flight mode with Archibald and has learned that she
Yes.
has to be quick on her feet in order to survive the cruelties of him, all the scandal of him going to the brothels and the gambling houses, and
Yeah.
she's had to be very savvy her whole entire life, where she does not have the luxury of taking time to process. It's do or don't, die or
Right.
survive. Like, and she is absolutely survival mama bear.
Yeah,
Like,
she already knows the feeling of having someone in the home working against them because
yes.
Archibald was gambling, was going to brothels, like he
But
was
at
doing
least
all the
she knew
things.
that. It was in front of her face and she knew it, so she knew how to handle it. But this one is something she never saw coming.
Right. This definitely blindsided her for sure. But what I'm saying is she has a lot of experience in. I'm gonna sneeze soon. She has a lot. I'm gonna sneeze now. She has a lot of experience
Well, and
in
I think
navigating that,
yes,
but
because
Colin does not.
she literally says that right here. I have fought with every tool at my disposal to claw us out of ruin time and time again, and yet under my own roof. And I think this specific wording, my own blood. It was different when it was Archibald. He
Yeah.
married her, but they didn't like each other. My own blood has been sowing the seeds of our ruin all along. How could you, Penelope? I think it is very different when she's like, Archibald was Archibald. He is who he is, and I accepted that, and I survived that. I didn't expect it from my own
You.
womb.
You were the kid I never had to worry about, and you were the kid that I should have been worrying about. Is really to
Yes.
me that what that line is.
Yes.
Like, but I think too, like, again, this is Portia not taking accountability. She's been
Mhm.
fighting to claw them out of
Ruin that
being,
she
to
created.
claw them up back up on the cliff. Like imagine they're all hanging from a cliff or a building by their fingernails, and she's
Mm.
got to get everybody back to good. but not seeing how she got them there,
Well,
and
in
putting, like,
fairness,
she just put the
she did.
family's entire blame onto Penelope in that sentence.
I will give her props for this. In fairness, she did not put the family there. Archibald did, and she's living in a time
Mm-hmm.
period where a woman is not allowed to claw her family out of financial ruin. She can
Right.
only claw her family out of social ruin, and
Mm-hmm.
so she has to do what she can within the bounds of the societal rules. And I can imagine how debilitating it must feel where you have no power over your own finances as a lady in the 1800s, where your every life outcome is decided by a male whom you hated. And then it's decided
Mm-hmm.
by a male who's shipped over from the Americas who's a scam artist. Like, I will never say that I agree with the choices that Portia has made. She definitely sowed her oats. She did make her bed, but at the same time, she wasn't given the best opportunity in life to lead a happy life, to lead a life where she didn't have to be conniving.
But I feel like that line where she said, I've been trying to keep us from ruin, and you've been sowing the seeds. I think that falls mostly to the Marina situation,
Yes.
but she's not taking into account that where Penelope did cause an issue at the time with Marina, I think Portia in this moment is thinking, like, we could have had Bridgerton money, Bridgerton connections for 2 extra years, but here we are, we've come full circle. You still get this connection to the Bridgertons. You still have Colin in the family. That was supposed to happen, but now it's with the right person.
I
And I think Portia
actually am.
is so,
I'm surprised.
she's so
Sorry, I
upset
just
right
had kind
now.
of a realization. I'm kind of surprised Araminta did not figure out that it was Penelope or a Featherington when no one wrote about the Featherington scandal of scamming the entire ton. Because whether Lady Whistledown thought or not that the Featheringtons were directly involved, it came from their household, their reputation, their financial contributions. How would the ton see, hey, all of us have gotten ripped off, and now all of a sudden a dead auntie just happened to give the exact same money that was stolen from us? And that the Featheringtons are back to living large on. And
But
if she was given all this money from a dead aunt, why isn't she reimbursing us for the money that was stolen from us directly from her household?
well, I get that, and I'm about to give you the reason why Araminta did not immediately think it was the Featheringtons. You are correct. I think the entire ton was like, this smells fishy, right? But nobody wants to admit they lost money, because then they have to admit, A, they were foolish, B, their estates now are worth less. So nobody wants to put that out. So nobody's actually talking about it. Araminta and her husband reported it to Dundas to investigate, but that isn't public knowledge. And if they
Yes.
talk about, hey, we reported this to Dundas, then they're admitting they were part of the scheme and that they got frauded. And then people start speculating, oh, Cressida and Araminta are wearing the same dress they wore a few balls ago.
Yeah,
They have
traditional
less
Hollywood
money.
vibe.
They
Yeah.
don't want to hurt or harm their own reputation, so they don't talk about it. And Whistledown only talks about what gets talked about in the ton. So she wouldn't necessarily think, oh, it must be a Featherington. She's just like, it's not getting in Whistledown because nobody's talking about it, because nobody wants to admit getting bamboozled and having less than they did before.
Yeah, I can see that, but I still think that it was such a huge scandal that it would have been noticed by Lady Whistledown. Although in truth, like, I mean, granted, a lot of the dealings went on at White's, where obviously Penelope
Mm-hmm.
does not have access to. So, I mean, the
And
fact that Lord Holly thought that it was a male in the first place, are you stupid?
And
Honestly.
honestly,
A bit
Penelope wouldn't have
daft.
written about it. Penelope wouldn't have written about it as Whistledown, because she truly did think that Colin saved their entire family and that her mom was not involved, and didn't find out about Dundas until later in this episode. So she
Yeah.
would have never written about it, except for maybe at the end of last season, or a little blurb about him absconding in the night. Like, and that's still protecting her family, not saying anything against her family, because that's the only information she had and she knew.
And I think the next part tells us how little Portia still thinks of the Bridgertons and Colin specifically, because
Mm-hmm.
she is still so smited by the Marina situation. Does your husband know? Well, he cannot know about this latest scandal. For a gentleman such as Mr. Bridgerton to know that your actions have led to blackmail, he'd have grounds for an annulment even the most sanctimonious bishop would grant. I do love the word sanctimonious. Great choice there.
Great word choice, but I don't, in my opinion, I don't necessarily think that she thinks less of Colin here. I think she is still trying to hang on to her hierarchy in Penelope's life, and having this thing with Penelope that gives her influence, because I mean, yes, Portia does not trust men. I don't think she trusts any man as far as she can throw him. And I think that Colin, and how Colin treats Penelope over the course of this season, heals Portia in terms of not all men are bad, because she truly babies Colin in season 4. Like, I think she's come to trust that he has Penelope's best interest at heart. But I don't think she trusts him, but she wants to be the main influencer in her daughter's life, because we know from the whole Lord race, the baby race, Portia wanted it to be one of her other daughters specifically. She wasn't trying to help Penelope find a husband at first, because she wanted to have control over those funds, over the estate still. And she was okay with Penelope marrying Debling. Why? The main thing she said, he's going to be gone.
Colin's become a bitch boy, and you have control anyway.
Well, I still don't think she has full control. I do think she controls Varley's salary, but I do think that Colin is handling the estate for several reasons, which I want to do that as a separate YouTube video. So I'm going to save that. But I do think Colin is handling the estate. I think they allowed Portia to keep her money, her inheritance, because it was inherited, or it was left to her as far as Colin knows. Penelope knows different. But that way she can pay her own, she pays Varley, because Ray, every time we see Ray, she is in a housekeeper uniform. So I think she's always been there. I think that they've been both. And they decorated the home in their style, not Portia's. So if Portia was in control of the money, would she have decorated the home? Yes. Would it look like the way Colin and Penn's old house did? No. So that's the only one I'm going to give right now. So I think that Colin is handling the estate, but he has given Portia freedom to handle her own money, and not horned in and played like an Antony of it all, where he tried to control everything, and Portia's cool with that.
Yeah. I think another point to make is, as viewers, obviously we see everything, like from a bird's eye view, whereas Portia only has her opinion of Colin from what she has seen. And because Daphne was the one who chaperoned the visit between Marina and Colin after everything had blown up, where he says, tell me it's not true, rah, rah, rah. And then he finishes that statement with, if only you had told me your predicament, I would have married you anyway. And I think that would have changed Portia's still a narcissist, so she probably would have twisted it anyway. But she's thinking that Colin called it all off. This is all, Colin's is forsaken the family. He could have just married her and taken some of the scandal off of them, rah, rah, rah. But she...
Right, because I doubt Marina told Portia at all about that meeting. No, so Portia had no idea that she met up with him, and that she admitted to the whole entrapment situation.
Yes. Whereas we know Colin to be a very, very honorable gentleman. So we know through watching all this that Colin was never going to forsake Penelope no matter what. He
would have married Marina because it would protect Penelope.
Like, he was going to marry Marina to protect Penelope. What do you think he's going to do? He has slept with Penelope, and as he says, you could be with child, like my child specifically. Do you think that he's going to let his child be raised as a bastard just because Penelope is Lady Whistledown? Like, even if it cost him being ostracized by his family, and it would break his heart, and he would resent Penelope for it, he would still never forsake her. He would move out to the country with her. He would only have to be able to see his family in secret, but that's what he would do as an honorable gentleman. But because Portia has never known an honorable gentleman intimately, she believes they ought to be, a woman's annoyed me, I will forsake her.
And because the Bridgertons seem to come out of everything unscathed, whereas the Featheringtons have to work really, really, really hard to keep their position, she doesn't view them as honorable. She views them as sanctimonious. as like high on their horse, as condescending. So her point of view from her lived experience is skewing her opinion of Colin.
Yeah.
And I think she's trying to hold grip on Penelope right now because she knows the wedding night has occurred, or she thinks the wedding night has occurred. There's a possibility Penelope is or could be pregnant, and she wants control of the estate. So this is her last ditch effort to see if she's going to have that control over Penelope. She knows she'll have it over her other two daughters.
Well, and she does throw that in her face right now. Mama, I do not wish to lie anymore. I must tell Colin. Well, I forbid it. But clearly my word is not one you choose to follow. That is the most narky parent statement
Mom guilt, yeah. Like, that is so funny. After everything I've done for you. And like, how dare you choose a man over me?
It just gave me like, I'll be dead in a grave one day. And what will you do then? You know, it was just...
I'm not going to be around forever.
The dramatic things that narcissists say, like when things don't go their way.
And mostly, it's only a narcissistic parent that's going to want you to lie.
Yes.
If you have a parent that is asking you to lie for them, they just might be a narcissist.
Like, not once in my entire life ever have my parents ever told me it was okay to lie to my husband. Like, I mean, maybe they've told me to be less critical of people around us. But never, ever to lie to him. Like, it's just
my dad taught me to lie from a young age because he didn't want the world knowing what was going on.
Like, you know, even sometimes I'll go out and I'll buy, I don't know, like I'll go splurge and buy myself like a pretty dress or something. And then I'm like, don't tell Stephen I did this. And then I'm like, hey, Stephen, I did this. And he's like, I don't actually care. Like, it looks nice.
What I don't want somebody to know is out of my mouth before my filter, because I'm ADHD and impulsive. Yeah. Then my filter's like, whoa, you weren't going to tell them that. Like, me keeping the secret of you being pregnant was literally, I mean, you should know how much I love you because I did it.
I don't actually think that the post that you made, I think I might make it a post. I don't think people all got, because they would have just seen like a thing and I don't think they maybe clicked on the
Well, post. And I didn't want it to be like super overt because the podcast hadn't happened yet. I made the post because you had posted on your personal feed, but I wanted it to be vague enough that people would listen to the pod and go, right?
I may have like to tell one of my uncles beforehand.
But like, I can't, like, even when I buy gifts for people, normally they know what they're getting long before Christmas. Half the time they don't even open it at Christmas because I'm so excited for them to have it. I tell them what it is. And I'm not really a good secret keeper. And it's not because I don't want to. It's that my mouth starts talking before my brain goes, whoa, 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 whoa. So really, you should know how important it is that.
How many stupid notifications? My phone's just buzz, buzz, buzz. And I'm like, is someone dying? No, I just know too many stupid people. I'm not stupid people. I love them all. I just have too many people who want
too many people trying to get your attention right now. Yeah.
While we're podcasting. And then then I'm like, is someone dying? Like, is something wrong? My child's on a boat. Is he drowning? Like, what's my phone keep buzzing for?
Phone, stop. It's patty time.
Yeah. Unless it is my child on a boat, then I want the photos.
Oh, yeah. Or if there's any real emergency, yes, I would be like, nope, take it.
It's school holidays at the moment, so my parents have taken... Originally, I was meant to be going and getting my hair done today, but then for the last 2 days, I've woken up with and gone to bed with a completely blocked nose, sneezing, maybe a sore kind of chest. Get up in the morning, completely fine. So I canceled my hair appointment because I'm not going to go in sick.
You don't want to go in there sick.
I'm fine. Body, what are you doing to me? Apparently, pregnancy can just make you really congested for no good reason.
Your body knows that you're going to out of town, that we need to have 2 recordings. That's why.
Yeah, it's just trying to stress me out on purpose. Yes, next week, in 2 days' time, but as of the time the pod comes out 3 days before, I have a new German student. Not that you guys can see, but I have a completely new computer setup, which is now in my walk-in wardrobe because our computer room has been relegated to being a 16-year-old's room for the next 5 months. She is from Germany. We have been practicing her name, but German names don't particularly come naturally to me. Melle, 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 Melle. I Google it and I have German people pronounce it for me so that I can then practice it. Sorry, the more I speak, the more the indigestion is kicking in. But yes, so we will have an additional homestay student. We'll have 2 teenagers, 2 adults, and a kid in the house till Christmas. Woo! And in that time, we're also getting a bonus. Marina, our Japanese student, her brother arrives in a week as well. So that's a whole extra adult. And he's here for a week, and we're going away to a little town called Tekapo, which has been snowing like crazy. And it's freezing
that'll be
cold.
very
But I can't wait.
pretty.
It looks so pretty there at the moment. The lake and the mountains in the background covered in snow. Thousands of people have been descending on Lake Tekapo because it's only 2.5 hours from Christchurch and it's like smothered in snow. So everyone's gone there in the school holidays. So I'm super grateful that we booked a week out of the school holidays because it is, you can't even move in the town right now. Like quite literally, the cars were stuck where they were.
We're
like,
going through another heat wave this week.
Just slightly opposite.
Oh, I want to tell you the cutest story.
Yes.
It's romance, so you'll love it. It'll make your heart pitter pat.
Any squirrels?
Huh?
Any squirrels in the story?
No. It's gone viral, so you may see it if you search it. But a girl who was flying out of Cleveland Airport by me on Frontier, something was going on the plane, and a maintenance guy had to come on the plane to fix it. And she thought he was handsome, but she didn't get a chance to ask him for his number or talk to him. So she posted a Reddit post. If anybody knows this person, like, can you let me know who he is or get him in touch with me or whatever? Because she's like she posted like a misconnection, right? Like they used to do those in the newspaper, yes. Misconnections. I saw you at the grocery store. It was kind of like that. It went viral. She's been on the news. She had gone to Florida to visit her friend. So she just came home. They had him at the gate because he's an employee, so he can do that. They had him at the gate with flowers. I mean, that part bothers me. They've been texting for a few days because she did find him. The world helped her, and the airport, and the local news, because this was a huge story.
When your boss helps hook you up with a customer.
Right. But their whole meeting in person for the first time was on film. I would not have liked that. They'd been texting for a couple of days, and I think had talked on the phone. And it'll make me sad if they don't get a real chance to see where it can go because it became so publicized, because she really is overwhelmed, and she said that. Like, she's super overwhelmed by the attention it got. But it was so cute. I mean, I've been following it all week long. But it finally ended in a happy ending. They met each other, and he brought her flowers, and it was super sweet. So I just wanted to tell you that story. And just look it up. It's Cleveland Hopkins missed connection. You should find it if you Google that or search in your social media. I'm sure you'll find it.
Yes. Well, now that you've said it out loud, it's probably going to show up my phone as soon as I pick it up.
Yeah. Okay, Meta, do what you do best. Listen in. Best. Surveil.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Let's finish up this. So the Portia and Penelope thing, I kind of want to just dive a little bit into their relationship. On this final note, is I think Portia has always just had, as Cressida pointed out, Penelope has always been forgettable, not just to the Ton, but also to Portia. And I think Portia never even acknowledged that part of herself, and this is now making her acknowledge the dynamics that she's had with her daughter, which is kind of ironic that she then doesn't acknowledge that she's now doing it to Prudence and Philippa, now that Penelope is the chosen child.
Right. And I have this in my notes that when Portia puts all the blame of their social ruin on Penelope, she then goes through what appears to be like, I mean, she just rewrites history. We've watched her rewrite history this whole season, right? But we also see that Penelope also rewrites history to her own detriment. Like, I shouldn't have asked you to help me find a husband. You didn't. He offered, lady. Right? But in this moment, what makes me sad about their dynamic is that, and it needs to happen, in my opinion, I need to see, and we kind of get it later in their comeuppance conversation after Dundas leaves, but I need to really see Portia or Penelope go, we remember things differently. That is not how I remember it happening. Because Penelope just accepts the rewritten history because she feels in this moment, I think this is the first and only moment she truly feels any kind of shame around Whistledown.
Yes.
Because she's watching how it hurt her mother. and her
It was
family,
one
right?
thing when a stranger was writing it about her. It's another thing when it's her own flesh and blood who knows her probably better than anyone else in the ton, because she actually sees the insider of Portia. She
Hmm.
doesn't just see the front that Portia puts on for society. She sees it
Yes.
all, and she's like, oh, my daughter saw all of me and did not like it.
Right. And I think that's part of, and I have that where Portia feels foolish that this was under her own roof in her own house and she never figured it out. But also, she does have to think about, Whistledown tells the truth. Is this really how Penelope saw our lives? Is this how she saw me as a mother? Is this how she saw her sisters? But Penelope just sits back in that moment and accepts all of it as truth, all of Portia's rewritten history, forgetting her part of Jack. And I'm not even talking about the fraud, because Penelope doesn't know about that yet. I'm talking about the entrapment.
Yes.
Penelope knew that
Yes.
Portia was behind them both being in the orangery alone. The Marina situation,
The engagement to Cousin Jack.
She knew her mother got Varley to forge that letter from George.
Yes.
She knows her mother's part of it, but she accepts Portia putting all the blame on her, probably because she's kind of used to it. Narcissistic parents always put the blame on somebody. But I don't like it in this moment, because her arc this season is supposed to be coming into her own power and having more confidence. And somebody needs to tell Portia, I'd like to know what history book you're reading, because it's false.
Well, I mean, we all grew up thinking history is just factual, right? But having a Japanese student has been very insightful to me, because obviously we have been on the opposite sides of the war. And so I asked Marina, like, what do you know about Japan's part in the war? And she actually had no idea about a lot of Japan's part in it. And I'm like, Jesus, am I corrupting this kid to go back and be like, look what Japan did? I'm like, oh no, like, are her parents going to be mad at me that I've like taught her this? And I said to her, like, obviously both sides did some. I said the atomic bombs is unforgivable. Like, we each, like, war is just evil. There's no good or bad. They're just all bad. But I said, did you know that Japan were known to be like the worst soldiers to be captured by? I said, you did not want to be captured by them, because they were the cruelest captors, torturers. You just didn't want it to happen. And she had no idea, because history is history, but depending on which perspective you are learning it from greatly changes how much of it you learn. Because Japan's never going to sit there and openly say, yeah, we did this, yeah, we did that. Although Germany seemed to have taken more accountability for their part in it, I will say.
Yeah. And I do believe that history is kind of written by the winners, but when you have countries that are pushing beyond patriotism towards nationalism, they do tend to write themselves more favorably. And it gets worse over time, my own country very much included. But I do love that there are people out there who don't allow it to happen. Like, for example, I just watched the new Little House on the Prairie iteration that's on Netflix. So good. But they truly portray that part of our history. Whereas, I mean, Laura was a little girl when she lived through it, and it's not really said openly in the books necessarily that they were swindled. But in that moment, what happened is the railroads wanted to own the land they were putting the rail on. So they posted posters in the East. They had people put up posters that the government was giving away free land so that white settlers would go and settle. The native people would see that it was being settled. They knew from recent history what that meant, that the government was going to take over and push them west. So they just accepted the treaty. Because they actually were going to get money for their land, the government bought the land. But because it wasn't the government that was giving away the land to the settlers, and they just had to buy the land instead of taking it in the plains, they turned around and told all these settlers who had built homes, planted gardens, planted fields, and built a life that had been going on now for a solid almost 2 years, 18 months maybe, that they now had to pay the government for their land to own it. And the Ingalls didn't have the money to buy it, and that's why they ended up moving. But that happened to a lot of people then. It was the railroad trying to win these government contracts, trying to get to own the land themselves, that swindled good people. And it got portrayed that way. And that would have never happened. Like, it did not happen on the Little House show when I was growing up until the last season, because the railroad bamboozled the whole town and they were going to take the town and put a rail through it. And the townspeople ended up blowing up their
So
town.
I
So,
I I really desperately want a Portia Araminta. I want a coming of age story of them. I want to see whether
mhm.
Portia was made or born this way. Like I do think that she always had sort of a certain sass to her, but I do think that it was honed very much by survival with Archibald. But I do think that like her narrative in the way that she interprets things would probably be very different if she had married someone, more like Lord Ledger, more like
Well,
y- a
we
kinder
already
human
talked
being.
about, yeah, we already talked about it during that mirror scene where she's talking to Varley but looking in her mirror, because she says it's unusual to find a love match, not just for Penelope. And
Yes.
I think Araminta was born that way.
Yeah.
I think that Portia was made.
Yeah. I think she always had it in
I
her,
think
but she definitely
I
like
think
a
Portia
little bit
was
like Anakin,
Penelope.
like she had good and dark in her. She chose the dark side.
I think Portia was Penelope, and I think Penelope would have become Portia had she married Debling. Not
Yes.
because Debling was like Archibald, but because it would not have been a love match. She would have still been alone. He would have left her, and she would be solely responsible for maintaining the reputation of their name. And he's already said
I
he
think
doesn't like his
I think
family, and his family's manipulative and all that stuff.
Penelope has a kindness to her, but I think that the Bridgertons have always fostered that kindness in her.
Hmm.
And if she lost that connection to them through marrying Debling, if she was,
Right.
forbidden from seeing
Oh,
Colin
Debling
or,
would have forbade her
interacting
from seeing Colin for
or
sure.
interacting with Eloise, I do think that she would have leaned more towards the sinister side, and that maybe her writing would have become less complimentary and harsher over the years. Where the longer she went without love, the harsher she became, like her mother.
I think over time,
Yes,
the more
but
the more adversity you deal with, which I don't necessarily think Penelope would deal with as much adversity as Portia did, because she believed Archibald to be secure when he wasn't. Whereas Debling would provide her security, but then he wouldn't be there. So she would have no emotional security. I still think she would
I
have
feel
ended
like
up very similar to
she would have ended up very much like Charlotte in Pride and Prejudice,
Yes.
but
Hmm.
more the newer Charlotte, where she did it for financial security, but then became very disenchanted with her
Yeah,
life.
pragmatism. Yeah. She's very pragmatic, and but it doesn't she doesn't
Yes.
like her
Did you
life,
have,
but being pragmatic.
yes, where she thought that if she just had financial security and took the burden off her family, that everything would be righted. Because once you were married, everything was right in the world, correct? That's what we've been told
Yeah.
our whole lives. And then to realize
All the
that's not
fairy
true at
tales
all.
tell us they live happily ever after.
Yes. Did you have any more notes on this passage?
I'm looking real quick. But I just want to, I'll finish saying, like, Portia wanted to feel like she was going to have control over her estate still, if whichever one of her daughters ended up, because she understands her daughters are pregnant. We don't know the gender of the baby yet to know if they were going to be the heir. So she has to include Penelope in that. And I think this was the test. I think she was testing to see if she would have that with Penelope. And she realizes no, that she won't. So everything from this point on, I think, is her truly wanting to protect her daughter and protect their name, because she's hoping Prudence or Philippa is going to have the heir and they're going to be saved financially and not lose their home and not lose their place in society. But to make that work, Whistledown cannot bring them down before the heir is
Yes.
born. So from this point on, I do think she knows she can't control Penelope. Penelope has put Colin above her in the hierarchy, as she should. And everything, she does love her daughter and she wants to protect her, but ultimately she also wants to protect her place in society, because all
Yep.
three of her daughters married misters. They got what they got in their choices. All that is done. The only person left in that house that wants to remain in society, honestly, is Portia.
Yeah.
They're all in their own households now. So Portia's trying to save herself.
Very much so. All right. Speaking of saving themselves, well, not saving themselves, saving others. In next week's episode, we will start on the dynamics between the Queen and Lady Danbury, a Bridgerton family's number 2 fan.
Yeah.
But for today, gentle listeners, we will leave it there and continue on next week's episode. If you have any tangents you would like to share, we got through plenty of them today. Please find the Ladies Bridgerton on Facebook and YouTube. Enjoying the podcast? Enjoying the tangents? Saws. Please click like, subscribe, and follow wherever you listen.
And once again, thank you for listening to the musings of two mad women.
Mad and slightly healthier. Yours truly, Tash
I
the
know
G.
that the healthy part is why this was lively and we tangented as much as we did, I think.
I know it's not being me being like, let's get off as soon as possible.
Like, okay, cutting you off, zero laser focus. We've got to be done. We got to actually chat a little bit.
Yeah.
And Lady Patty.